Hello, Trimaris. Sorry about the delay. I had a technical difficulty that I just couldn't figure it out. But I'm here now. Hopefully, you are too. Um, Welcome to the current, amazing and current story. Wow. I've already done this once because I forgot to turn on the live feed. But welcome to the story Amazing and Current Singalong. I'm Master Rurik, and I will be your host tonight. We're all trying to get through this a little bit. So I have, for me, a little bit of a bardic fire going here. It's not much, but it's something. And the ever-present Bartlube. Now, when I was approached by their majesties, and whom I'd like to very much thank to be included in this, it was recommended that I do something from the VR Trimaris CDs. And that got me to thinking about how that all started. So, give you a quick little rundown about all that. Back in AS-25, 1990, so you don't have to do the math, Carradine O'Cara Common, now Mrs. Carradine, whom you all know, came down from the East Kingdom and moved here. When she got here, she found that there was this amazing, to her eyes, bardic tradition. It was commonplace for us, but she was just, blown away by how strong of a bardic tradition we have, because in the East Kingdom, they just didn't have anything like that. So a couple of years later, in 1992, she had an idea that she wanted to save all this fantastic music that she'd been hearing. So in Wyvernwood, where she was living, she started asking around about how this could be done. And pretty much everybody she talked to said, you know what, call Rurik. Okay. So about a week after fall coronation that year, I get a phone call. And it's Carradine, and she's explaining everything to me. I'm like, yeah, we can do this, no problem. So I started making some phone calls around, and we wanted to gather all the premier bards in the kingdom at the time. Of course, you've seen the result of that from the Vivat Trimaris Volume 1 CD. So we got a hold of Master Morg, Duke Baldar, Mistress Verena, Lord Triskill, myself, Rebecca Goldenhair, and we started getting it all together. And by a week or so after Moot in November, we were in the studio. And so we gathered about 20 of us or so there at the studio. And we laid down all the tracks of that thing in about 6 hours. And we are all pumped up and all excited to having gotten this done. And so then the sound engineer got to do his thing with it. And by mid-December, he was done. So we got the DAT from him, and we took it to the printing company and did up 250 cassette tapes. Because back then, the CDs were a little more expensive, and this was a fundraiser for the Trimarian Land Fund. So we didn't want to put our costs up too much. We wanted to keep a lot of the funds for the Land Fund. And by Winter Art Sci, we had the tapes in hand, and we were selling them at events. Within 2 events, that first 250 was sold out. So we did another 250, and then another. It was very popular, and we were very appreciative of the response that we received. But like I said, that was 1992. It's almost 28 years now since this first came out. 4 years later, Vivat 2 was produced and was out and available. And a few years after that, Vivat 3. So maybe someday we'll be getting together a Vivat 4. Who knows? We'll see. But as I said, I was at Vivat CD, and I have 2 of them on there, and one of them is Tale of the Sea King's Boon. Now, Tale of the Sea King's Boon came about when Lord Morgan Bloodaxe came over to my house one afternoon and had 4 or 5 sets of lyrics, and he asked me to put some music to it. And Sea King's Boon was one of those. So, if you'll bear with me, I've already done this once, so I get to do it again. My lords and ladies, Tale of the Sea King's Boon. My ladies and lords and all that behold, come listen to my voice as the story is told, of madness and loss, fell justice and gold, all played by the light of the moon, all played by the light of the moon. Not a lord of one kingdom as any man may, lusted for treasure and knew where it lay, lost under the waves where the sea grasses sway, so dark in the light of the moon, so dark in the light of the moon. He commanded his wizards to make him a charm, to summon the sea king and save him from harm. Enthralled to the bracelet he wore on his arm, held up in the light of the moon, held up in the light of the moon. Yeah. Met almost as equals, the sea king was mild, and came to the Lord in the guise of a child, that looked almost human except for the smile, so bright in the light of the moon, so bright in the light of the moon. All robed in with seaweed with desertly red, a 12-pointed crown was set on his head, encrusted with pearls and bright hopes of men dead, all drowned by the light of the moon, all drowned by the light of the moon. There know well the lust of humans for gold, and this boon I will grant to any so bold, that will mount on my stallion and ride in my fold, so brave in the light of the moon, so brave in the light of the moon. You may plow up the sea with a milk-white bone, and harvest the gold from where it is strewn, and all that you keep you may call your own, but all by the light of the moon, but all by the light of the moon. For the state I will give you is born of the night, darker than greed and stronger than fright, and all that would ride him must rein him in tight, and ride by the light of the moon, and ride by the light of the moon. So gather my treasure and keep what you may, but know that with daylight the darkness must fade, and be back on the shore ere the first light of day. For you ride by the light of the moon, you ride by the light of the moon. Now dark horse comes striding, borne upon the foam, and strapped to his saddle an arm's length of bone is sheathed in a skull like a sword in a stone, to be drawn by the light of the moon, to be drawn by the light of the moon. And mounting the Lord with the lunatic's laugh, rides out on the water cleaving his path, and seizing the gold that must come to his grasp, so tight in the light of the moon, so tight in the light of the moon. Now saddled with lust and no looking back, he must fill every bag and stuff every sack, and heap up the treasure around him in stacks, so high in the light of the moon, so high in the light of the moon. Now lift fight with terror, put spurs to your steed, and race for the shoreline too far to see, and cast off the gold for a little more speed. I fly by the light of the moon, I fly by the light of the moon. But the stallion can bear him no more than a dream, From a drowning man's mouth the last strangled scream, and from one clawing hand the gold bracelets gleam. A cry for the light of the moon, a cry for the light of the moon. Now the sea king comes up from his dark ocean floor, and seizes the young band the foolish Lord wore. More gold for his pleasure to add to his store, and count by the light of the moon, and count by the light of the moon. To see the gold that men have is the gold that I keep, and like many other your grave will be deep. May a lust for my gold keep you warm where you sleep, for you died by the light of the moon, you died by the light of the moon. With unholy laughter the sea king returns to his dark domicile where the tide never turns, ever pledged to come back for any who yearn to ride by the light of the moon, to ride by the light of the moon, aye, to ride by the light of the moon. I hope you'd enjoy this tonight. Remember, Wednesday night, Sir Jean-Paul will be back with us. Tonight's performance has been brought to you by the letters C and Q. Why? Because we're all going a little crazy with this quarantine. But keep in mind that the more you stay home now, the sooner we won't have to. Good night, Trimaris. Take care.